Just hit
We're
live.
healthy.
All right, we're live.
We are live. NFL Week 9 preview on Halloween, October 31st. Marcus, how are we doing on this fine Friday afternoon?
All right, I got a hot take. I'm not a huge Halloween fan. Yeah, the trick or treating. Just like, can we? This is an old man yells at crowd take, but can we get like an established window of like 4 to 6 p.m. trick or treat window? Get it in, and then it's over. Because like I guess when I was a kid, I loved staying out late, like being the 11-year-old or whatever that got to trick or treat late. But now that I'm like an adult, it's just like, hey, I gotta go booze it up at my Halloween party that doesn't start till 10 o'clock because we have to sit around for you teenagers that want free Kit Kat bars. It's like, just all right. That's just my take. Probably gonna get some heat for it, but
this is like some kid's Super Bowl. I mean, I'll say this: like getting the pillowcase out. I know some people definitely like. I know. I was I always had the pillowcase, and then once you get the pillowcase full, like that's. I mean, dude, it's some kid's Super Bowl. I'm just gonna say that.
Yep.
By the way, what is your favorite Halloween candy? Quickly, and if you are watching, please comment below what's your favorite Halloween.
This is a much better Halloween conversation.
Don't give me some stupid thing. Just let's hear it.
I'm a huge Kit Kat fan.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Kit Kat is top 2. I will always defend Take 5.
Okay.
I think those are probably my top 2. I had something recently. If it comes to me, I'll bring it up. But those are my top 2. What about you?
I'm commenting in my chat now. I'm a big Twix guy. I'm a big Butterfinger guy. Reese's Cups, top 3, like no doubt, no doubt.
Reese's Cups aren't like top 10 for me. They're fine. I don't know.
I mean, what are we? Are you a Peeps guy on Easter?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't know. Something about the texture, and I still don't think the distribution of peanut butter to chocolate is quite right. I think it's too much peanut butter. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and dive in here. Bengals, Bears. We're just gonna there's a lot to discuss with this game. In some ways, so Chicago's favored by 2.5. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like. I'm not worried if the Bears win or lose, mainly because I am, and I'll get to this more in a second. If the Bears are not expected to win the Super Bowl this year, if they finish with 8 wins, 9 wins, great. But the biggest thing that I'm looking for here on out is the progression of Caleb Williams. And right now, Caleb Williams, over the past month, I made it a point to really go back and watch his tape specifically this past week. He is, to me right now, a player that has all the talent to play in the NFL for a long time, but the consistency is simply not there. And I think there's times where, speaking of Halloween, there's times where Caleb is way too energetic. It's like he's way too hyper jittery in the pocket and wants to do something. And then there's times where he doesn't have to. And it's really frustrating. So my question, not just for this game in particular, but really the remainder of the season is Caleb Williams the guy long term? Because I know there's Bears fans right now that are a little like, they don't want to say it, but they are kind of a little on the edge of how they feel about Caleb. And I also say this, I don't want to use this as a general point of analysis, although I think it's fair for this specifically. Since the 298-yard 4 passing touchdown game in week 3 for Caleb Williams, he is 30th in fantasy points among quarterbacks the last 4 weeks. And he has 2 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Forget the fantasy part. I'm just going with where he's been the past month. And their red zone offense also hasn't been good. That needs to be worked on. They need to obviously convert more. They've had a couple of ugly wins. The Raiders and Commanders were not great in terms of, they got the win, but in terms of how we got there, wasn't the prettiest. I think that kind of hid some things. We also discussed that once they don't have the turnovers forced the way they did, or the way they didn't last week against Baltimore, you kind of see where this team is. Now, with Cincinnati, look, you lost to the Jets last week. Trey Hendrickson's doubtful, the last that I saw, and your season is in a lot of ways over. They are 1-3 since the start of the 2024 season, whenever they put up 38 points, which is obviously awful. And This game could very easily combine for 55 to 60 points. Wouldn't be surprised. But the biggest thing for me within this game is the progression of Caleb Williams and the Bears offense and where we are, because this is a game where I think Caleb Williams, I mean, we have to see a step in the right direction.
Well, how dare you diminish that we both picked the Bears to beat the Commanders in that game by suggesting that it was a fluke win. I mean, obviously we knew they were going to win that game. It definitely wasn't the Commanders fumbling a handoff in the rain that led to them winning that game. But I totally agree with you about Caleb. I definitely I'm not on the, long-term discussions about him. I just, I enjoy just evaluating him week to week. I got a question, like, what's just on Twitter is like, what's wrong with Caleb? Like, why is it not looking like it's supposed to? And I think it's two things. The accuracy was a strength in college, and he's just spraying balls left and right. Like every week he's in the bottom 10 in like uncatchable pass percentage. And it's just like, I'm not the one that can really provide the answer to that. It's mechanics, it's confidence. I don't know. And the processing, it just hasn't evolved really at all from where it was coming out of college. And that it wasn't a strength of his, but I didn't think it was so bad as a college prospect that you couldn't look at it and be like, oh, it'll get better, right? Like most QBs get better at it. And it just hasn't developed for him. It feels to me like he's leaning on his hero moments and the traits that he can get away with, and not the attention to detail just isn't there. So it's like, I'm not ready to jump ship on Caleb, but at some point you can't just blame, it's of course the Bears screwed it up, but it's this and that and the O-line and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, at some point, like Caleb just has to get better at this stuff and show that he can develop, because there's been minor improvements. I think a lot of it is just Ben Johnson hiding the same issues that he had last year. So I don't know if there's that much mental development in there, but it's a great week to reverse course on the narrative, man, against this Bengals defense without Trey Hendrickson. So I think that's the main thing to watch for at this point. I can't really take the Bears all that seriously as a playoff contender until Caleb becomes more consistent. So that it all kind of boils down to that. And like you said, the Bengals season's basically over. So that's what I'm watching in this one for sure. I'll take the Bears though. I think they should be able to put up a lot of points, and with Flacco kind of beat up potentially, it's not great either. So
I didn't give a winner. I do think the Bears will win. But it's also, and by the way, I'm not on this game definitively defines Caleb's career, but I think the next 10 games are going to be like, okay, like how much are we buying in heading into 26, just because of the inconsistencies. So, and I think this is a game that you have to get right this week. Like this, we got to see something here.
Yeah, it's a big moment for sure. All right. I will stay in the NFC North. I think we're gonna bang out the whole NFC North in our first few games here, but I'm gonna go to Detroit for your Vikings Lions. Let's go.
We got them. We got them. We got them. We got the horns, baby.
Is that a vote of confidence from you and your Vikings to
where I'm at in the year is it's very much our season is done. I just want to see JJ play well. That's where we are.
What are the signatures you got on the horns there? Who do we got?
I took them. One is EJ Henderson, took it to a game in like a preseason game in 2008. And I think one is actually Rick Spielman.
Rick Spielman.
Yes.
Very underrated. Very underrated. Overhated.
Took it to a preseason game in 2008. And my dad, I was 10, so I didn't know. And my dad was like, "Hey, this is the guy that drafted Adrian Peterson." I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." I was 10. I was 10, so
nice. I love it. Looking good. All right, so Lions are big favorites in this one, 8.5. I have to agree with the spread, and I'll ultimately pick the Lions. I think that's going to be kind of the consensus wave on this one. I'm really worried about, honestly, the Vikings defense in this one. The Lions, the Vikings run defense has not been what it's been the last couple of years. This season, it's really struggled. We know the Lions can really beat you this way and the other, and I think they'll have rushing success. And we've seen Jared Goff combined with this offensive infrastructure. Obviously Ben Johnson is gone, but I don't think it's changed too much, frankly, in terms of yeah, they should be able to find answers against the blitz. And I'm worried that this is going to be a 35, 38 point game allowed by the Vikings defense. Now, if the Vikings are going to win, it's going to take like I think a surprise heroic day from the offense. And it's unlikely, but possible. I mean, number one, the offensive line, it's just got to lock in. Like there's no way around it. They have to play up to their on paper talent level. Hopefully this is as healthy as they've been all year. Obviously Kelly is still out, but at this point, unless you've heard more than I've seen, but Darisaw is questionable and O'Neal is questionable. There's a chance both those guys play. Is that kind of
that is, yes. So Darisaw missed practice Thursday. He was back Friday.
Yeah. So, I mean, if those guys both play, if you get the best pass protection they've had all year, that would be a big deal. Like obviously that unit has underachieved, but it's been largely injury related. So if you can get those guys playing well, that's non-negotiable. I mean, the Detroit put up 40 pressures against the Bucs last week and basically ended it with their pass rush with Lee McNeil coming back. So that's where it all begins, honestly, before you even get to the JJ McCarthy of it all. If the offensive line doesn't play better, we've seen what JJ looks like with a bad offensive line, but we haven't seen what JJ looks like with a good offensive line. So if they can play better, then okay, let's see if McCarthy, after some time to think about things, getting to go play back in the state of Michigan where he's nice and cozy, maybe with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, who he didn't have when he was out there playing before. Maybe we can see this. Yep, exactly. Maybe we can see a version of JJ McCarthy that Vikings fans were hoping for. And you've brought up some criticism on KOC for sure this season. And can Kevin O'Connell have a day against a defense that is good but predictable in terms of how they want to attack you? They run what they run. It's a lot of man coverage. Well, you got Jefferson, you got Addison against a banged up secondary. You should be getting some man-to-man. What can you do to create some easy looks? So there's a chance for the Vikes to pull this off, but I'm not going to pick it to happen.
I know. First off, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. But positively, the Vikings team page just tweeted that a couple of guys are questionable. So there's nobody is officially out. I don't know. Like nobody big is out. CJ Ham is out and Josh Oliver are out, but it's not, Darisaw, O'Neal, Van Ginkel, all those guys are questionable. So it'll be arguably the healthiest that we've been all year. But look, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to from week 9 on is just the progression of JJ McCarthy, because like we mentioned with Caleb, there's going to be conversations if we don't see something in the next 10 games. And so I just want to see JJ get in a rhythm. I just want to see O'Connell just call the quick passing plays. Let's get JJ going. Let's get him, let's 3 or 4 completions to start the day. Let's get Jefferson going. I did have a super chat from Caden. He says, love the outfit, Skull. I've been sipping on the purple drink. We're back. I wouldn't say we're back. I have a lot of questions about the defense. But I think this is a game that I would definitely take the Lions spread. And I actually had in my prize picks play of the week, Jahmyr Gibbs to score, Amon-Ra St. Brown to go for over on yards. I mean, the Lions absolutely kill us. Last year, Jahmyr Gibbs, one game, had 116 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns in one. And then with the 1 seed on the line, had 139 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely kills us. I wanted to share the story. I saw him at an event prior to his rookie year, and I loved him coming out of Alabama. And I'm sure Jahmyr remembers this dearly. I said, hey, Jahmyr, loved you as a prospect. Good luck this year. He said, thanks, brother. And we kept walking. So I'm sure he remembers that as fondly as I do. Lions, I think they're going to win, say like 38-24. I'd take the spread. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But I just want to see JJ. I want to see some steps in the right direction. That's all. I want. This is going to sound such loser talk, but it's been a long year, dude. We've had a long season. I want 2 passing touchdowns from McCarthy, preferably not with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Preferably, like we're tied. If we keep it tied at half, I'll be good. But the Lions have our number right now. They are a significantly more talented team. And I'm taking Lions 38-24.
Just a couple more Vikings related things. Number one, that story with Gibbs reminds me a lot of when I went up to shake Adrian Peterson's hand at the airport. I said, hey, I'm a Packers fan, but I want to wish you the best of luck this year. So like almost Almost the same deal.
Yeah.
Didn't get the legendary Adrian Peterson vice grip.
Handshake.
He doesn't do that to fans, apparently, just to like NFL people. And then, yes, got a shout out. Lisa B, my wife, in the chat saying Andrew Van Ginkel, hopefully back this week. She is going to this Halloween party tonight as Andrew Van Ginkel, throwing a blonde wig on and taping on Van Ginkel to the back of the shirt.
I kind of look like Van Ginkel right now.
You kind of do. Yeah. And I will be going as the Vikings quarterback with McCarthy crossed out, Wentz crossed out, and I will have an arm sling and a knee brace on. So it's going to be a good time.
All right, anyway, I'm going to take the horns off now. Anyway, so look, we're going next to Falcons, Patriots, and then probably back to the NFC North. But this is my Caleb, JJ, Michael Penix 2024 draft class, all in the same boat here. I don't think any of these teams, not a hot take here, they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. So Bears, Falcons, Vikings, in that regard, done. Everybody would probably agree with that. But what I want to see for the rest of the season is I just want to see some consistency in play calling from the Falcons offense. And by the way, I do think the Patriots are going to win this game. But the frustration that I have with the Falcons right now is it seems like it's like, hey, let's run outside zones of Bijan Robinson, or let's have Kyle Pitts run a 6-yard hitch route. And there's a reason right now that Kyle Pitts is actually third amongst tight ends in receptions. I know everybody gets their Kyle Pitts jokes in, but he's actually been productive this year because of the opportunities. And he's made the most of it. He's caught like 39 passes on 46 or 47 targets throughout the first half of the season. But there's a stat from Next Gen Stats. It's called the aggressiveness percentage. And I don't think you should live or die by this stat, but right now Penix is based on the stat, the fourth least aggressive quarterback in the NFL. And because they don't really let it loose. They don't really let him cut it loose. And it's very frustrating. He has an aggressiveness percent of just 11.3%. Drake May is above 16.4% for reference. There was a play action play last week with Kirk from under center where the linebackers, whenever you do call a play action under center, the linebackers have to respect the run game. So they're going to get drawn in. Kyle Pitts at the same time is running behind them and he caught the ball for 20 couple yards. And I just want to see that type of thing with Zach Robinson. I just want to see Michael Penix get in a rhythm. I just want to see some semblance of Michael Penix looking like a solid NFL quarterback, because right now Penix obviously didn't play till way late in the year last year and he only had a couple of starts. And it's very frustrating because I don't think the progression of Michael Penix has been great, but I also don't think it's entirely on him either. And I think the coaching staff or the play calling has been pretty subpar for Penix. And that's going to be my biggest thing for this game is can we get Michael Penix and Drake London? Can we establish a connection? And it's going to be they're going to have their work cut out for them because the Patriots run defense is very good. They're second in yards per attempt against, second in rushing yards allowed, and they're fifth in EPA against the run. So this is one where it's just like, look, I just want to see, like with Caleb, I want to see something in the right direction with Michael Penix. Now with the Patriots, kind of a weird week, just in a media sense. They said they may be looking to trade for a running back at the deadline. They have Travion Henderson on the roster. Ramondre Stevenson is out this week, confirmed. So I do think the Patriots are going to win. I simply think they are the better team. The offensive line has been a lot better this year than last, obviously. And Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, they've all been solid and, well, actually better than solid. But I think New England simply overpowers Atlanta, and I think they're going to improve to 7-2. But the biggest thing for Atlanta, get Michael Penix going, just something. I just want to see something that I can attach, that I can just like see that we can take in the right direction moving forward.
Yeah, Atlanta's been super frustrating this year. It's just like very week to week. Just I have no faith in like what they're going to look like any given Sunday. Whereas New England, it's like they've been this machine now for, it took them a couple weeks to kind of figure everything out. But man, they feel kind of like Super Bowl contenders right now, like unstoppable. So yeah, very hard to go against the Patriots. I got to pick the Patriots. I do think Atlanta has a pathway to winning this game. Like we've seen some highs from their past defense. And can you make Drake May uncomfortable? Like, it feels pretty hard to do that right now, but I don't think the Patriots offensive line is impenetrable. But yeah, I like what you said about Penix. They gotta find something new, something explosive with this offense. It's just hard to see. And I don't think they're gonna run all over this Patriots defense, like you said. So yeah, I gotta go Pats.
Last thing is Michael Penix is like, from an arm strength standpoint, he is the engine of a Lamborghini, and they're capping him out at like a 35-mile-an-hour like speed limit. Like if you know any like people that like drive like the tractor trailers like for a living. I used to work at FedEx. And they have the whatever they're called, like the speed cap. I don't know what the actual term is, or I forget what the actual term is, but they have the regulation, if you will. And instead of regulating it at like 65 on the interstate or 70, wherever it is in your local place or your local interstate, it's like they're capping them in like a 35-mile-an-hour. Like it's just frustrating, man. I just want to see you let them unleash it.
Yeah, I agree. So, I did get a quick super chat before we go to the next game. Thank you, Super Pony. So Super Pony is one of the Colts fans, I presume, that is upset that I haven't put them in my Super Bowl contenders tier just because I want to see them beat a higher opponent, but an actual Super Bowl contender before I put them in that tier. But if they win 41-6, could they go into the Super Bowl contenders tier? I think if the Colts boat race the Steelers, I could see a world where I'm ready. I'm like right on the cusp of doing it. It's just like you either have to rack up some conspicuous amount of blowout wins against bad teams for me to make that jump, or go beat the Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, that type of deal. But anyway, I could see it, but no promises.
I'll bring Super Pony up later, but when we break down the Colts, so that's good.
Okay,
good. Okay. Future, we'll have a discussion.
Little teaser.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, let's go Carolina at Green Bay here. Packers big favorites here. Can they cover the double-digit spread this time? They weren't able to do it against the Bengals. This time against the Panthers. Your 1 seed in the NFC, Green Bay, hosting the Panthers, who are hoping to sneak into the wild card this year. I don't like this matchup for Carolina. I'm worried about Bryce in this one, frankly. We'll see if Taylor Moton plays. I think that's huge if you want to talk about can the Panthers cover the spread. I don't know if you saw what the Bills did to Josh Nijman in that game last week, but he didn't particularly look good, and I would be very worried about what Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons would be doing to a backup tackle in this game. With Bryce, who feels like when the Panthers lose, they lose bad, and I don't want to sound like the Green Bay homer here, but I could definitely see that game script again here with Carolina, just like we saw last week. The biggest thing in this game, though, is going to be the Panthers defense, who's had some good moments this year, but is coming off a week where it felt like they regressed straight back to all your fears about them, where they couldn't tackle, they couldn't stop the run. Their pass rush is bordering on anemic, but definitely not great. The Packers' offensive line is healthy and looks great right now. Jordan Love's coming off, I don't want to say one of the best performances of his career, but a performance that answered a lot of the criticisms on him, completing 20 straight passes, the accuracy, like very good, the decision-making, very good. He definitely got some help from some big plays from like Tucker Kraft and Christian Watson in that game. But I just think Jordan Love's playing super well right now. I don't really see the path for the Panthers defense to go into Lambeau and have a great game. And I'm worried about Bryce against this pass rush. I mean, honestly, like just chuck it up to T-Mac a bunch and hope he makes the plays on the secondary. That might be your pathway to winning or covering the spread. But I got to go Packers pretty big in this one, especially because what I said, when the Panthers lose, they seem to lose big. So I think this is going to be a pretty ugly one personally. And you guys can call me the biased Packers fan, but you got to remember, I'm also a biased Panthers fan. So it's
I'm with you. I'm with you. Last week, Buffalo exploited Carolina a couple of times within the within the run game. They took advantage of alignments with how Carolina was aligned with the front four, and they exploited for 10, 12, 13 yards a pop. And Josh Jacobs is obviously a very talented running back too. And I don't think Carolina is going to be able to keep up with Green Bay. I also worry about the Panthers' offensive line, especially because they've been banged up along the offensive line. Bryce Young is familiar with Micah Parsons. There was a play during Bryce's rookie season where Micah, they had him line up at, like, he was he was standing up and he was on a rookie Chandler Zavala at the time. Chandler Zavala, he didn't even get a hand on him. He didn't get a hand on him. He was in the backfield. Bryce looked up and he had Micah Parsons running him down. Somebody said 27-13. I could see that. I could see 34-13.
Yeah.
Typically, whenever spreads are this high, I'm usually on the underdog. Like, hey, they can cover. I was on the Raiders a couple weeks ago, and whenever they lost 31-0, that didn't work out. But I'm on the Packers this week, man. I'm with you. I don't think I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to keep up. And I will kind of push back. You said last week that Jordan Love, it was like maybe not one of the best, or it was one of the best games. I think it was the best game of his career, is what I'm saying. Like, I think last week I was going to text you in the middle of that game and be like, dude, I wish I had Jordan Love. I was going to, I didn't, but I was thinking about it. The thought was there. The thought was definitely there, but I'm going Green Bay.
I think the Cowboys playoff game and the second Vikings game that year, when they went in,
he diced us. Yeah,
that's fair. That was the Vikings defense was playing really well at that point, and I thought he was unbelievable against all of Flores' blitzes and stuff in that game. So I would put those two higher. And I don't know, maybe even a couple games this year. I just think Love is playing really underrated this year, but
yes, he 100% is. Now the next game is the Colts and Steelers. And to go back to the super chat that you had from Super Pony, he sent me a super chat, like last, one of the recent streams. And he said that, as a Colts fan, I know you warned us about dealing with the Daniel Jones like naysayers, but he basically said, like, this is annoying as hell to deal with every single week because every week you're going to have, and this also applies to the Seahawks as well, where every week you're going to have if there's a game where Daniel Jones throws 2 picks and they lose by 3, you're going to have somebody sitting there. I told you the entire time that this is who he is, whatever. Look, Daniel Jones is playing really good. But for this game, this is a very bad matchup for the Steelers all around. They're 25th in EPA defensively against the pass. Both Shane Steichen is doing a really good job in passing concepts this year, and Daniel Jones is also nailing all the throws. I really think that this is a big Alec Pierce game. He does not have any 100-yard games this year. I don't know if he's going to get 100, but I think there's a good chance for him to have a 40-plus yard touchdown in this game. The Steelers secondary is very slow. They traded for Kyle Duggar this week. That certainly doesn't help the speed department. As Deshaun Elliott had a pretty ugly looking injury last week. The Steelers have also allowed over 450 yards in back-to-back games. Indy is first in points per game. Jonathan Taylor's a legit MVP candidate. And I think Indy, the 3.5 points last week I said this, that it was one of the games where it didn't make any sense for the Steelers, that, there's going to be a game or two a year where the Steelers absolutely muck it up. They win 19-17 or 18-16 on 6 Chris Boswell field goals. I don't think that's going to be this game because the Colts offense is absolutely rolling. And we've discussed it before. The Colts probably should be 8-0 if we're being honest. And when you look at how bad the Steelers defense is playing heading into this game, it does not make a lot of sense for the Steelers to win. Now, if they come out and prove me wrong, by all means, but the Steelers defense has been very bad over the past couple of weeks. I simply do not think the Steelers offense is going to be able to keep up with an absolute juggernaut that Shane Steichen has constructed.
This is where I get put in such a tough spot because I like running the risk of like coming off as the Colts hater, which just sucks because I was like actually really high on this team coming into the year. I think I do have to pick the Colts to win this game. Let me be clear, but I would not be stunned if Pittsburgh at home pulled this one out because Rodgers is playing really well. I think my main concern on the Colts, it's actually not so much Daniel Jones. It's their defense. You can make a case. They played the Chargers. They gave up. They just outpaced the Chargers at a ridiculous pace in that game against a banged up Chargers team that was out both their tackles. But like, you can make a case that this is the best offense that they've faced this year. And that's saying, well, in their wins, they lost to the Rams. That's their one loss. But in their wins, I mean, I think this offense is better than the Dolphins. I think it's better than the Broncos. Probably it's close. Raiders, Cardinals. I think Chargers without their tackles. I think I take this offense that's playing pretty well. Titans twice. Like, I don't know. I think this is a test for the Colts defense with Rodgers at home. I think can find some success in this one with DK Metcalf against these corners. I think there's a path for the Steelers to put up some points in this one. And then my mind hasn't quite adjusted to like the Steelers having this horrible defense. Like it doesn't make sense. And it's just like, I keep thinking it's just going to fix itself at some point.
I'm with you on that, but can I say one thing?
Yeah.
The Steelers have 3 games this year where they've allowed under 30 points. They are a game where the Patriots committed 5 turnovers, the Carson Wentz Vikings, and Dylan Gabriel throwing the ball 50 plus times in Pittsburgh. That's it. Justin Fields and the Jets put up 32.
Yeah, I know.
Now hold on. Let me for the Steelers fans, one clarification. They technically allowed 31 to the Seahawks. Caleb Johnson with the fumble on the kick return. That was technically within that, but it's been ugly. It's been ugly. And I wanted to change, but
they're ugly in the areas that the Colts have been so efficient.
Right. That's why I think Indy. That's why I love Indy.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the classic cop-out answer of Colts win, Steelers cover, just so I'm like, I win either way, basically. So I'm going to go a little higher scoring. I'm actually going to go 30-27 Colts in this one. But I think this is going to be a pretty good game.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Houston, another home game for the Texans. How about that, Texans fans? You get to watch your team play football again. And you're actually kind of looking forward to it after last week. They really just handled the Niners. The analysis on this couldn't be any more simple. Can the Texans offensive line block? Like literally with this Texans team has been the most polarizing team in the league. When they get against these teams that stunt and blitz and they muddy up the offensive line, they are one of the most hard to watch teams in the league. If they just get adequate pass protection, they're going to roll. Like they have crushed all 3 of their wins, like out the park. So it's not going to be easy, right? Against Denver. And this is another team for Houston, like top 5 team, I think, in terms of scheming up the rush, throwing blitzes and stunts at you. It feels like that's the Achilles heel that this team hasn't solved. And I think for that reason, I got to take Denver. But I'm not super confident in that. I think Houston's defense is going to make Bo Nix quite uncomfortable. This could even be a game where Houston just wins outright with their defense, like 13-10 or something like that, and just really makes Denver uncomfortable. I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I think it's possible for that type of outcome. I also think beyond the offensive line, it's pretty big that Houston, in a game without Nico Collins last week, was kind of forced to discover Jalen Noel. That's been the one piece that I've been like screaming for is like, look, your offensive line's getting assaulted. You have this kind of like, I hesitate to say this, but kind of like a Ladd McConkey-esque prospect where he's a quick separator. He's a good vertical threat. He was kind of like baby Ladd as a prospect for me. And up until last week, he had 1 target in the 0 to 9 yard area. It was all either bubble screens or like throwing the ball down the field to him. But last week he had 5 targets in the 0 to 9 yard area and looked awesome and caught a deep ball. So I think discovering him, Higgins stepped up, got a touchdown last week. You get Nico Collins back now off the concussion and Patrick Surtain's out. So again, if they can just survive the offensive line attack that they're going to face in this game, I think the Texans can win, but I'm not going to predict that they're going to be able to do that. So I'm going to take Broncos in a pretty ugly game, like 19-18. I don't know how we'll get there, but
I could see that. I could definitely. I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you on Denver. I do think Denver wins. I I'm glad that you did note it at the end, but Surtain is out. That's obviously, the reigning DPOY.
Mhm.
But look, Denver, their offense is over the past 4 quarters or 5 quarters rather, 77 points. They obviously played the Cowboys defense last week, a little different than the Texans defense, but I do not trust the Texans offensive line enough to say that, hey, you know what? I am going to predict the Texans to win. Maybe I'm wrong. And look, if Houston improves to 4-4, we got another team in the playoff race, legitimately in the playoff race. By all means, Houston, go prove me wrong. But I would argue that in some ways, it's not must win, but Denver's in a position where, look, Kansas City is, they're looking like they're on the rise. Not looking, they are on the rise. They had a little bit of a tough start, and Denver's in a legitimate position where they can win the AFC West, and you can't trip up to a Texans team, and you have the Raiders next week. There's a legitimate position where the Broncos can position themselves to winning 7 games in a row before they play the Chiefs in week 11 with an 8-2 record. And I know you can only go 4 quarters at a time, play who's in front of you, but I don't trust the Texans offensive line enough. And the Broncos offense, maybe they figured something out, but I'm going to go with Denver to win.
Yeah, totally fair. I did get a super chat from Monty. Thank you, Monty. $20 super chat. Very kind. Appreciate it. But he says he was worried about Singleton, the linebacker, and Wattenberg last week against the goodness. Who did Denver play last week?
Denver played Dallas.
Brain fart. Dallas. Yes. Yeah. And they were total non-issues. So this week, I'll say I'm worried about Palczewski and the rush and Bo reading the defense without infinite time to throw. And hopefully those will not be issues. Yeah, Palczewski is an interesting guard. I will say at least it's more of the tackles that are going to be under pressure than the interior. Like Texans have a decent interior rush, but yeah, hopefully Palczewski can hang in there. I like Palczewski coming out. He's done a decent job as a backup. And then yeah, Bo Nix in this one. It's a big test for him as well in this one for sure. Like this is the type of playoff caliber matchup that you want your quarterback to have some answers for. So thanks again, Monty.
All right. We are going to Nashville for a game of the 25 regular season. It's Chargers Titans. Chargers are favored by a lot. And oh man. All right. Here's what I'm going to say. Look, the Titans, let's just start with the guys they have out. Calvin Ridley, Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key, Xavier Woods. I don't think the Titans are going to trade Jeffrey Simmons. It's been reported by several people around the Titans that he's pretty much untouchable, that he's one of the few guys that the Titans actually love enough to keep around. I have my thoughts on that organization with the way things currently are, but the Titans starting corners in this game are, I don't know if you know this, Marcus, but I'll be glad to tell you. I'm going to name I'll just name them. Marcus Harris, Jalen Armour Davis, Samuel Womack, Micah Robinson, and Daryl Baker. And the reason why I kind of paused there was I was going to pause with like the nickel corner. But anyway, so I just said all 5 corners there. That's a list of names for
I don't think I could have guessed any of those. And that's saying a lot.
Right. They traded Roger McCreary. They traded Jarvis Brownlee. I have no idea why they traded Jarvis Brownlee. But look, pertaining to this game specifically, Chargers are off a mini bye. They looked great last week. They kicked our shit in last week for sorry for the language, but they kicked their shit in last week. And this is, the Titans are not a good team. We know that. I don't want to, you know who you're starting this week for Tennessee. The things that Tennessee needs to look forward to is continuing to try and develop Cam Ward. With Calvin Ridley out, I would like to see Chamari DK 8+ targets. I'd like to see Alec Iomanor 6+ targets. Those are guys you drafted along with Cam Ward. You're in. Your season is technically not over, but it's. You already fired your head coach. It's over. Just develop Cam Ward. Let him learn trial by fire, if you will. Just everything. Chargers, pick your poison how you want to attack this defense, man. Jeffrey Simmons is out. It's going to be a little difficult to run the ball directly up the middle with Tavondre Sweat right, smack in the middle of the defense, but take your choosing of how you want to win this game. Kamani Vidal has played really well over the past couple of weeks. He had a really good game in week 8 against Minnesota. Chargers, I would say they also cover the spread on the road. I'd say something like 27-13. Hopefully we see some progression from Cam Ward, but Chargers win handily.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just listening to you talk, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I think it's flying under the radar how bad this Titans team is because they actually
Dude,
have
it's
a
all
win.
time. It's borderline all time.
Their win was the most hilarious win I think I've ever seen. Like,
Right.
it wasn't a win. They were so far and away the worst team in that
Yeah.
game, in that Cardinals game. I think because of that win, it's flying under the radar. Like, I think this is the worst team of the 2020s.
Who else would be? The 2020 Jets, at least they had Sam Darnold. And Darnold, the flashes were there. The flashes were there with Darnold. They were there.
Yeah.
The flashes. Now, it wasn't consistent, but I mean, who else would be?
Yeah.
Jags,
and I'm surprised that it's that ugly because I thought like they have some pieces, but I mean, that like Jeffrey Simmons has been out, like Calvin Ridley's been out, like on top of all this, it's like there's not a thing that they do well. They're bad in every category. It feels like I'd have to look it up, but it feels like they're bad in special teams too. Yeah, it's brutal. So this feels like a value to get Chargers.
I agree. No, I agree.
I feel like the market in a couple of weeks is going to be like, oh wait, the Titans should be double-digit underdogs against everybody.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, last week for reference, right? They lost to Indy, and that was I know I'll actually discuss a tweet that you shared last week or this week rather, but it was about the team's quarters, like how they play each quarter.
Yeah.
The Titans or the Colts are like they kill teams in the first 3 quarters and then they back off the gas. The Titans had a garbage time touchdown last week to cut the lead from 31 points to 24. I mean, it's not like we're going like, hey, we only lost by 10. Dude, I feel bad for Titans fans. I say this every week. I really do. But yeah,
they better get the number 1 pick. They better get the number 1 pick.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Who are they going to beat though? Like, who are they? The worst team they have on the remaining of their schedule is the Texans and Jags twice. And they're not like, they're not bad teams. They're not, I mean, maybe they also have the Falcons. So maybe they get the Falcons, but.
And I guess they're ahead of the Jets because the Jets loss or the Jets win was an AFC win and the Titans win was an NFC win. Is that how that would work?
I think so.
That would be the one fear is that the Jets don't win a game either, but yeah. All right, let's move on. That's enough about the Titans.
I feel bad for Titans fans. I really do, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to MetLife Stadium for the Giants-Niners. My main thought on this is, should the 49ers just forfeit this game instead of sending their team to play in MetLife Stadium?
Yeah. I'll just get a quick thing in. Somebody said, coughing baby hydrogen bomb Christian McCaffrey's tendons against the MetLife turf.
Yeah.
Was what somebody said.
I would maybe leave Christian back home for this one. No, jokes aside, although I'm kind of half serious, like every week it feels like another domino falls for the Niners. But is Brock Purdy playing? I mean, he's been practicing for like 3 weeks.
I think he is. I think he's in. Ricky Pearsall's out, the last that I saw.
Yeah.
I'm going to confirm.
This game's just freaking weird, man. Like,
it is.
The Giants have shown to be competitive, but also like, how much of a soul do they have left after it, I feel like, physically left their body when Scadaboo went down, and not just the morale, but like he was doing he was their scheme. Like he was getting them into 3rd and 2s by tough yards, and he was their passing game. He was like everything. So really worried about that. I'm not the biggest Tyrone Tracy guy. I think he's fine. But it's a huge drop off. I don't know, man, but the Niners are just, they're a beatable squad. Like roster talent wise, this is probably even leans in the Giants' favor, and they're at home. I got to just trust in Shanahan and Saleh as the coaching staff to find the answers as this one goes on. But I wish I had better analysis and, better takes on this game, but I just don't. This one's just such a weird game.
So what I found out is there is a chance that Brock Purdy suits up, but Mac Jones starts. Which, there's a couple of people that have said that basically every concern they had about paying Brock Purdy so far has came true. There's a lot of uncertainty within this game. And I feel really bad for Giants fans because this should be a year where There's no expectations. This should be a year where like anything you have that's positive should be viewed as fun and exciting towards the future. And I feel really bad for Giants fans that they're robbed of Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, and Malik Neighbors all playing together. That's one that sucks. Like that really does suck about football. It really does. But anyway, I
want to pick the Giants. But the thing is, like, their second level defense, like linebackers and corners, has been such a disaster, and they have guys out this week. I just feel like Shanahan's going to find some ways to get, whether it's Kittle or whoever, Jawan Jennings, like just find some guys to get open, and they'll walk out of this in some weird, ugly game.
Okay. All right. If I had to pick, I would pick the 49ers because a lot of the time when it comes down to games like this, I trust the coaching staff more. Plus not just the coaching staff, but I think the Giants' weapons are in a brutal situation. So I'll go with the Niners. Now, for another great game, we have Jags Raiders. It's in Vegas. Both teams coming off a bye. I think that's kind of interesting. Typically, it's usually one. I feel like the percentage of games where both teams are coming off byes is very low. But anyway,
yeah, for sure.
Travis Hunter, don't know if you saw it this morning because you said you were preparing for your Studs and Duds video, but spoiler if that's not already out. But sorry if that's already not out. But Travis Hunter, IR, and for the next 4 weeks, they need to feed Brian Thomas Jr. That's the biggest thing. We need to get Travis or not Travis, get Trevor and BTJ on the same page. And this was one of my concerns heading into the season with the Jags, was that a lot of BTJ's production came with Mac Jones last year. And now we're starting to see this, midway through the year. And one of the questions that I have for this game is which Jags team is going to show up, because there's times where I don't think that they would go to the AFC Championship game or much less the Super Bowl, but there's times where they show up and they can, compete with anybody. I mean, they beat the Chiefs earlier this year for reference. Right. So Trevor didn't play well in the first half of the Rams game in London a couple weeks ago. And then he played fine in the second half, but the offense let him down with the drops. So which team are we going to get? Is this I think in some ways, the more that I talk about this out loud, I think this is kind of going to be a test for the Jags of, hey, 5-3, we can legitimately buy in. And then on top of it, we can really, we can like use this as a stepping stone for the rest of the year. So big test for the Jags in that regard, and kind of the adversity with head coach Liam Cohen. And then with the Raiders, Brock Bowers is back. And one of the things that I wrote down is, can we have any just semblance of an offense? Because it's been very frustrating all year for the Raiders. Now we have Ashton Genty and we have Brock Bowers in the field. Can we try? Can we get it going at all? The Raiders have had one good game all year, or one good game running the football all year, and it was against the Bears. Can we try? Can we get something going? We took Ashton Genty with 6th overall pick. I think there are some questions about that pick now because of the Armand Membu selection, but that's neither here nor there. But the biggest thing with the Raiders is you have 2 premium picks in Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers in the past 18 months. Figure out how we can use those guys and, continue to implement them in the offense and go from there. Now, I will be honest, I think the Jags win, but curious where you stand on this.
Yeah. I have a good feeling about the Raiders. I think a big part of it is, and I don't know if that's my pick, I'm going to kind of talk this through. The thing with the Raiders is, like, Brock Bowers played one game basically, and they won that game against the Patriots. He's been out. Like, he's their whole system. And I think they've really struggled to adjust to that, on top of Geno making a bunch of bad mistakes. And like, also flying under the radar is Colton Miller's been on IR for a bunch of weeks, and they've shot themselves in the foot by trotting Stone Forsythe out there as their left tackle for some reason. But like, that's just compounded with the Brock Bowers injury. So at least you have Bowers back in this one. But yeah, I'm definitely worried about Stone Forsythe against Josh Hines-Allen in this one. I think the Jags defense can have a good day. But yeah, you nailed it with the Jags offense. It's just been inconsistency, to say the least. So, what does the bye week mean for the Jags and their passing game? I think that's going to ultimately decide this game, because it's the type of unit where you could walk out of this game and say, wow, the Raiders defense played good, but you watch the tape and it's like, oh, well, Trevor overthrew 4 wide open receivers and Brian Thomas had 3 drops. And it's like, well, it's actually just the Jags beat themselves. So I'm going to
go
for it.
No, I just have a super chat regarding this game that I want to get to. But if you were going to pick, I think the Jags are going to win. But
screw it. I'll take the Raiders. Why not? I have no confidence in that, but
okay. All right.
We'll take
the super chat is from the legend Super Pony. He says the Jags have the right guy at head coach with Liam Cohen. The problem is Trevor Lawrence still sucks. He's holding them back, and they need to move on. That was word for word for what the super chat said. And I'm going to be honest. It's year 5. It's who he is. You get Dr. Jekyll and Trevor Lawrence. You have no idea which player you're going to get, and forget in a 3 or 4 game basis, but on a week by week basis. You have no idea which player you're going to get. I don't entirely disagree, but I think there's a very valid conversation to have of, okay, hey, if we move on from Trevor, who are we going to bring in? And the Jags are in a tough situation. But when you ask the question, do you think the Jags are going to, I hate the Super Bowl or bust mentality. Like, hey, is Trevor going to win a Super Bowl? That's not fair. But are they going to, win multiple playoff games in Jacksonville in the next 2 or 3 years because they win the division? I don't think so. So it's a fair question, fair point to bring up.
Yeah, I defend Trevor a little bit. I agree. Like, he's at this point, it's kind of like an advanced, like Caleb Williams, fast forward like 3 years, a little bit, where it's like, yeah, there really hasn't been any development on what his issues are. It feels like he's kind of capped at this point. I think Trevor is getting quite a bit too much hate for all of the things going on with their passing game. I mean, they by far have the most drops in the league. Yeah. Penalties outside of his control keep setting them back. And I think a lot of these miscommunications that could fly under the radar too, there's every half, there's a quick out or a hitch route or a timing route that Trevor puts it in one spot and the receiver's looking at a different spot. And then all of a sudden, you're in 2nd and 10, and you're behind the chains, or it's 3rd and 10, and then you get the drop after that. It's just like everything's compounding on top of itself. I think the drops should naturally regress back to the mean a little bit because they're honestly on a historic pace right now for drops. It's absurd, and some of the procedural and communication stuff. I mean, it's a new scheme. It's a new coach. I like to think that that's going to get cleaned up. But I do agree, like Trevor's inaccuracy doesn't feel like it's getting better, and his decision-making is very inconsistent. So I'll defend him a little bit. I don't think there's a better answer on the horizon anytime soon.
Okay. I mean, I would agree with the not better answer, and that's why I would say they're kind of like capped where they are, but
yeah, for sure. Okay. Saints Rams, Tyler Shough.
Your boy.
Debut, my boy. I got so much hate for defending Tyler Shough. We'll see if that hate was justified or not, but I think that's the fascination in this game. I think it's a fun test for Shough it's Shough.
Shough, yeah. Rhymes with duck. Rhymes with another word that also has that uck at the end.
Buck. Yeah.
There you go, exactly. Or Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck. He's the next Andrew Luck, obviously. No, I think it's a fun test for the Saints offensive line against this Rams D line. And if they can play well, I think we could get a decent look at Tyler Shough in this game, maybe making some throws, but hard to say this is going to be anything other than Rams. I mean, it's a Brandon Staley revenge game. I don't know how much revenge is going to be going on from the Saints defense against the Rams coming off a bye week with Puka Nacua back. I think it might be revenge in the opposite direction, but no, I'm excited to see Shough play. I wish this was more of a cozy game for him in his debut, but I don't know. I don't really have too much to say about his what he did last week. Frankly, I think coming in against the Todd Bowles defense down 2 scores, I feel like he was just trying to get through the game and not make an ass of himself. It was a brutal break for his first interception to be on a screenplay that just bounces off the receiver and it gets picked. But it's also kind of nice to just like get that first pick out of the way and be able to say it wasn't really your fault. Maybe that helps his confidence a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, I liked Chuck. I'm curious to see what it looks like.
I mean, if you like place actual dollars on the Saints winning this game and they win, more power to you. I mean, it's look. I'm sorry. I mean, we know. I mean, you're starting Tyler Shuck against the Rams on the road. I hope we see something positively. I will say that I'm glad the Saints are doing this now in week 9 rather than, they're 1-7 rather than potentially being like 1-9 or 1-11 heading into week 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, by the way, let's now have our 40th overall pick come into the game. So I'm glad that they're doing this now rather than, 5 weeks from now with only a couple of games left. So I'll at least credit the Saints for that. But I mean, Rams should win this game. There's a reason it's 13.5 point spread. I think the Rams can cover, and I think they will cover. Not can, I think they will cover. So I'm with you on that. I would like to see at least 2 or 3 full games from Tyler Shuck before they, if he doesn't work out, okay, that's fine. But I'm glad that we at least started this midway through the year.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. Yeah, and someone in the chat was saying, honestly, I think they shouldn't have benched Rattler. We talked about this last week, but it's worth repeating. Like, it's not really Rattler's fault, but we've been saying like that leash is as short as it gets, and it's not Rattler's fault. Like, he won that job. He played better than we expected, but it was just the reality of the situation. They spent a top 40 pick. They're going to be looking at quarterbacks again this year. You can't not play that guy.
Yeah.
You can't just light that pick on fire and then draft another quarterback next year. Like, it's just people, like it's as simple as like people have jobs at stake, and that's just a horrible look. So it's like, it might not be the last we see of Spencer Rattler, to be honest.
I honestly, unless I definitely think Spencer Rattler will have another chance. In terms of the Sam Darnolds, the Baker Mayfields, the Daniel Jones, Rattler has the arm talent. Now it's just consistency, but no, it's not saying he's going to be the next one, by the way, but I'm saying that the talent, the arm talent is there. But
yep.
So, all right. Seattle, Washington
is a city.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It is a city. That's a good call.
I thought that's where you were going with that.
No, Seattle versus Washington. Sorry, I didn't even think about that, by the way. The game's being played at Landover, so anyway.
Why am I laughing so hard at that?
What's up?
I'm getting too old, man. I said, why am I laughing so hard at that?
I mean, anyway, look, this game, Seattle is 10-1 on the road under Mike McDonald. I have a lot of concerns about the Commanders' defense. We've discussed it before. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba against this secondary is I greatly worry about that. Now, I do want to credit Marshawn Lattimore. Last week, he was targeted 1 time, zero receptions allowed, 1 interception. So you have to give credit where it's due. But that does
help when the Chiefs basically don't have to do anything for the fourth quarter. But yeah,
I mean, focusing on the positives for that. But look, man, I don't think the Commanders defense is going to be able to hold the Seahawks offense, especially with the Seahawks offense coming off of a bye week. Now, this, I would argue, is, pertaining to the Commanders' season-long outlook. I think that this is a must-win game for Washington, and we have to start with Jaden Daniels is back. So whenever you look at the Commanders' schedule ahead, they're 3-5. Obviously, if they win this one, they'll be 4-5. Right now, they've dropped 4 out of their last 5 games, and they've also dropped 3 in a row. But next week, they play the Lions. So we're talking about a team that could very easily be 3-7. And I do think Seattle is a more talented team. And ultimately, I will pick Seattle to win because I especially think in terms of their strengths, where they are, a good football team. I think that they outmatch Washington. And it was already announced that Terry McLaurin's going to be out this game. So Jaden's going to be, he's going to be pressed because the Washington receiving core is obviously not great outside of Terry McLaurin. And then you have a Sam Darnold led offense that's also playing pretty well, and a team that again is coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They're again also 10-1 under McDonald. I think a lot of signs point to Seattle beating the Commanders in this game. And to go back to the Commanders' schedule real quick, the reason I said it's must win is because after this game, they still play the Lions. They have the Eagles twice. They also play the Broncos and the Cowboys for the remainder of their season. So if you drop this one, you really only have room for one more loss, assuming 10 wins would get you to the postseason. This is a must-win game, and ultimately, I don't think the Commanders are going to win this game. I just think Seattle outranks them in a lot of positional matchups within this game, and that's why I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add on top of that. I totally agree. The matchup screams Seattle. You're basically just counting on a mere, Jaden Daniels elite performance, and probably, a Sam Darnold, sloppy turnover in there would probably be enough to do it, just because when Jaden's on, it goes a long way, but it's tough without Terry. That's just such a bummer. I thought they just took him out as a precaution when he got hurt last week, and then for him to still be hurt, that's just a huge bummer.
It's been a frustrating year. Yeah.
It's just adds on top of already the team was going to regress, but that certainly hasn't helped. I am curious, it feels like the JSN thing reminds me a little bit of early in Amon-Ra's emergence as a elite receiver, where for a while it felt like, why don't teams just double team him?
Right.
He's kind of this and JSN lines up outside a little bit more. It's a little bit different, but it's similar where it's he's just running out routes and digs, and he gets wide open on these posts, and it's why don't you just bracket him and force him to throw to somebody else? And it's every time there's one guy on JSN, it's you see the rest of the offense, right? Don't you want to try it and see what happens? I don't know. I'm curious if Dan Quinn breaks something out, because I do think if you could slow down JSN, this is a vulnerable offense, but that is obviously easier said than done right now. So
can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I really didn't. I thought you were done though. But where do you currently rank JSN area of wide receivers? I know you did your 138 receivers, but where do you rank in the area?
I don't think it's changed from where I did it, to be honest. I'm just pulling up the list there. Let me just be accurate on my answer here. Just 1 second. I'll finish my point while I click through a couple of things here.
There we go.
Just that when it was, I was saying when they would double team, or when they wouldn't double team St. Brown, they at least had Laporta and some other options. Here it's there's no other options. So I feel like it's a good way to attack this team. But dang it, I clicked on the QBs. All right, I think I had him 8th. I think I'm at him 8th. What about you?
I'm thinking top 5. Top 5, baby. I'm thinking the LSU. I'm thinking the LSU boys, Puka and JSN right there.
So you're putting them over Amon-Ra?
Yes. I'm putting JSN 4. Although now that I think about it, I could have CD 4, JSN 5, but I'm right there.
So I've got them.
By the way, comment where you have JSN, by the way.
So I have him 8. I have obviously Chase Jefferson, Puka, Lamb. I'm putting Collins over him. I understand recency bias is going to go JSN. I think Collins was absurd last year, and it's been a rough year in Houston with the pass rush, and he's been hurt, but I'm still going Collins. I'm going Amon-Ra over him. And AJ Brown's the tough one. Sure. I might be willing to move JSN over AJ Brown, but we've still seen some pretty crazy football from AJ Brown just this season. So I don't necessarily know what to do with there, but top 8 for sure. And that sounds like an insult, but it's not in the modern framework of the NFL. It's extremely rare territory.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Game of the year.
Yeah. And
Cardinals Cowboys.
I thought you were going with the actual game of the year.
No, I was just joking.
You were. Okay. Yeah, Chiefs Bills. I was telling you before the show though, I was I don't even know what to put in my notes. This is the same freaking game and I love it. But it's I feel so lazy when I do my analysis on this game, because it's the winner is going to be the team that plays the better football on Sunday. These teams are just destined for a head-to-head clash that comes down to a dropped pick or a dropped ball that leads to a pick or a bad penalty or a bad spot on a QB sneak, like that is this matchup. I don't think it's going to change. I think these teams are about at the peak of their powers right now. Buffalo's got some injuries on defense right now, but I don't know, man. Josh Allen seems to have this defense pretty figured out. I think the Bills are going to have success. They ran the ball all over Carolina last week. I think they're going to have that two-way attack. Kansas City is bringing a little bit more juice to the table this year, which I think is fun. But the Bills do play that style of defense where they kind of crafted this thing to take on the explosive version of the Chiefs. And like they've struggled actually more against the kind of dink and dunk Chiefs, if that makes sense. So I don't know that the whole idea that the Chiefs offense is better this year than it's been in previous years actually makes a huge difference for this matchup, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, flip a coin, dude. Like, I think the Chiefs are a slightly better team, but this game's in Buffalo. So it's like, I don't know. I wish I had more to say about it, but it just comes down to it, man. I'm going to go Chiefs, but
I'm going to go Bills. I would do, there is a chant that the Bills do at the stadium. I'm not going to do it. It's kind of weird to do it by yourself. I'll just kind of, anyway, Bills fans, the chant by yourself. You can do the chant, but look, I'm not betting against Josh Allen at home. Final Chiefs game at Highmark Stadium. I like the Bills a lot in this game. They can run the football. They can control the tempo of the game. Josh did not have the best game last week. James Cook, Greg Jennings really put the team on his back. I think that was a, not a look ahead game, but I think it was kind of a flush the tape down the toilet type thing. And we're going to be ready for the game of the year. Now we'll see. I mean, right now it is not wrong to say that the Bills win the regular season games, the Chiefs win the postseason games. I hate to give something like so just generic, but yeah. I still think Buffalo wins this game. This is both teams. I mean, the Bills put up 40 last week. The Chiefs put up, I mean, they didn't have a great first half, but they really rebounded in the second half. I'm looking forward to this, man. This is going to be, I will be honest. This is going to sound like more like bad than I mean to, but like, you understand what I mean? There's not a lot of things as an adult where I am very much like looking forward to that. This is one where it's like, I can't wait to hear the CBS music. I can't wait to hear Jim Nantz. Like, here we are in Western New York with what could be an AFC championship preview. Like, I'm revved up, man.
Absolutely.
I'm revved up. Bills, go Bills, go Wingnuts, go Anchor Bar, go Bar Bills. Dude, I'm all on the Bills for this week. Now, playoffs roll around. I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes, but we'll have that conversation in a couple of months when these teams play again. You're going to see them again.
Yeah, but this game could decide where that game is played, so it's definitely going to have major playoff vibes in this one. Definitely, though, I will say this: definitely a bet the over type of game for me. I feel like you can never go wrong betting the over, and it's like 52.5. Like, this game feels like it's 30-27, 30-33, something like that every time.
Agree.
Yeah. So
now I do have a quick super chat here. This is just one that I wanted to get to. Daxon asks, it's about the Bengals, and then we'll get to Cowboys Cardinals. He says, what do you guys think the main cause of the Bengals' current struggles are, and what could possibly be done to bring this team back to something like the 2021 form? My short answer is, you have to spend money for talent. And I know they just, did that with Jamar and Joe and T and everything, but the whole thing of letting Jesse Bates walk and to have the arrogance, the arrogance that they were going to be able to replace Jesse Bates at the snap of a finger with Daxton Hill. That is, to me, a decision that I don't think gets enough criticism from the media, just to be able to think that, hey, we have the next Jesse Bates here. No big deal. That to me is the defensive backfield version of AJ Brown, Treylon Burks. And at least the Titans got a first round pick for AJ Brown. The Bengals just willingly said Jesse Bates, hey, good luck
for man. 16 a year.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's
one Javon Kinlaw a year.
Right. And no comment on that. But anyway, it's the arrogance to pay the top 4 players on your roster, 46% of the salary cap. And then to think that we can sign for, I hate using the word mid, but just average players at their positions, and that naturally everything is going to come together. We can bring in Mike Gesicki, we can bring in Noah Fant, and because we have Jamar, because we have T, they'll just naturally play up. They'll be fine. And it's frustrating, man. The whole thing is. So I feel for Bengals fans. I really do.
And they got to start hitting on some damn draft picks. I mean,
that as well.
They finally are getting DJ Turner to like look like a stud, and it's like it feels like a miracle because they finally have like a top 2-round draft pick that's contributing to their defense. It's been like 5 years since that happened.
So we have, sorry, I got to get my notes here. By the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream, please like the stream. Please like Marcus's stream, helps tremendously with the almighty YouTube algorithm. So Cardinals Cowboys, Marcus has his 10-gallon hat on. And anyway, Arizona's coming off a bye. The tweet that I brought up earlier was one that you quote tweeted, and all you said was Arizona. It was a point difference by quarter for each team, and it was a graphic. Arizona's point difference by quarter in the first quarter plus 20, second quarter plus 8, third quarter, plus 18, fourth quarter minus 47. Kyler's not back. It's another Jacoby Brissett game. The biggest thing that I have is I think the Cowboys, I mean, look, I trust them under Brian Schottenheimer more than I do with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, the thing with Jonathan Gannon is I made a video a couple of weeks ago. I loved the vision that the Cardinals had from the minute that Monty Ossenfort and Gannon came in. I thought they did a lot of right things, but specifically after the Titans game, and I was already kind of leaning out. I was just, I'm kind of soured on where the Cardinals are currently. And the fact that you have to go into Dallas with a backup quarterback, to me, is obviously not a great situation to be in. Now with Dallas, this is, I know I've said this kind of, like I've used this term quite a bit recently, the way that people use the word generational in the draft process, but this is a must-win game for Dallas because they're 3-4-1. They can head into the bye at 4-4-1. Then they come out of the bye and play the Raiders, and they can be 5-4-1 in their next, 3 weeks. But then after that, the reason why this is must win is because after that Raiders game in week 11, they play the Eagles, Chiefs, and Lions in 3 consecutive weeks. You cannot afford to trip up to Jacoby Brissett. So yeah. And if you fall to 3-5-1, in a lot of ways, that's 3-6 because of the tie. Like you might as, I mean, it's not a win. I know people are going to say, oh, well, it's not a loss. It's not exactly, it's just, you're pretty much 3-6. So to me, it's a must-win game for the Cowboys. I am going to trust a coaching staff I trust more, along with an offense that I significantly trust more, despite how bad the Cowboys defense has been. And I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win. I'm going to say 27-20.
Yeah, if Kyler were playing, he plays so well in this stadium. I think he's like never lost a game. He's like, I don't know what the number is. I think he's like 9-0 in this stadium, like going back to high school or something like that.
That's like wild pool.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like he kind of nailed it there. You can say teams don't look ahead like that. I think they do. And I think Dallas knows that. And, Arizona's desperate too, but I just don't know if they have enough juice in the tank to keep up with this offense. I'm excited to we've really only seen the beginnings, I think, of the Dak, CD, Pickens trio. I could see that being a huge narrative coming out of the second half of this year because, they were both out there to start the season, but Dak and Pickens hadn't really played together in the same offense yet. So it was kind of like a beta version of those two together. And then CD gets hurt. And then those two guys were just unbelievable in the, who did they play 2 weeks ago?
Hold on. It wasn't the Panthers. Hold on. I have it pulled up. It was the Commanders.
Yeah. The Commanders game. Those two guys, I think they both went for 100 yards. I think I said it last week, but this reminds me of Joe Burrow and his wide receiver duo. So very excited to see more of that. Last week they had to go to Denver and they got down early. It wasn't really going to happen, but yeah, I think Cowboys, but Cardinals are frisky. It's only a 2.5 point spread. And at this point, I'm not really betting on teams to cover against Arizona just because of that point you brought up. Like, they're not a bad team. They just blow it late.
They frustrate me, man.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll go Cowboys, but like 27-23, I think.
Okay.
Cowboys defense is horrible too. So.
All right. Well, that is the week 9 preview. So if you enjoyed, please like the stream, helps tremendously. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our Halloween festivities with me with the Vikings hat, Marcus with the Cowboy hat, and that's going to wrap it up. So until next time, have a great weekend. As always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.
See everybody.